Lads, welcome back to Fusion YGO. Today, we are doing a deck profile, an updated deck profile, on my branded list. I've been taking this to locals for a while. It plays around a lot of things. It takes a little bit of inspiration from a lot of different lists that have topped. I've streamlined it down to as low of a deck count as I can, whilst still playing enough cards to be able to deal with other problem cards in the format for me. So let's go ahead and dive right in to Branded. Starting off, we are playing 3 copies of Fallen of Albaz. This card is now an interruption, which is pretty insane, especially if you're playing cards like Rindbroom. I'm not playing Rindbroom, but you could absolutely play that as another form to make this card a better interruption. 3 copies of Aluber, the Jester of Despia, one of the strongest monsters in the entire deck. Aluber, being able to search any branded spell or trap is incredibly important. Its second effect doesn't come up all that often, but its second effect of negating a monster effect on the field when a fusion monster leaves the field by an opponent's card effect is really, really nice. We are playing 2 copies of Blazing Cartesia. Blazing Cartesia is a way that you can play around Infinite Impermanence by summoning it before you special summon into a Aluber, or normal summon an Aluber depending on what you have at hand, because you do play 5 copies of Blazing Cartesia, and you do play 6 copies of Aluber. It's really important to be able to see a way to defend Aluber from things like Infinite Impermanence, when you have hands that aren't as optimal as you'd like. 1 copy of Guiding Quem. Because this card's always treated as a Despia card and a Dogmatica card, you can use this as an interruption or as a lot of other effects. You can use it as an interruption in terms of like turning Branded Opening into an interruption, because you're able to summon this card and then dump a Fallen of Albaz, and then if a monster leaves the extra deck, you're able to summon out of the graveyard another monster, which is really nice. 1 copy of Tragedy. First off, but instead the graveyard are banished, you're able to add a Despia monster from your deck to your hand. This includes Aluber and Guiding Quem, which is really cool. And then in the graveyard, you can banish it to set a branded spell or trap directly from your graveyard. This is one of the few ways that you have to recur resources, because I'm not playing the Spriggan's Kit line. So you need to have Tragedy there to streamline your plays and get into your big boards. 1 copy of Ad Libitum. You could cut this card, but I really like Ad Libitum, especially in grindier games where you've used a bunch of your resources and now you're able to use Ad Libitum from hand with things like Branded in Red or Branded Banishment. That being said, I have contemplated cutting it. It is really good, but Ad Libitum is probably the most cuttable card on this list, and that's up to player preference. 1 copy of Tri-Brigade Mercury. This card is highly searchable in the deck. It's not an issue to get to. And its ability to search out Fallen of Albaz, Blazing Cartesia, Guiding Quem is really, really nice when it's banished. 1 copy of Albion, the Shrouded Dragon. You have to play it. It's your draw engine of the deck, one of your draw engines of the deck. And the fact that it's a level 8 dragon does come up. Continuing the Branded line, we are playing 3 copies of Branded Fusion. Branded Fusion is the whole lifeblood of the deck. It's the strongest individual card in the entire deck. 3 copies of Branded Opening. This card has now become an interruption thanks to Guiding Quem's existence, but being able to play 6 copies, 7 copies of Aluber is really strong, and the protection effect is insane. Do not sleep on it. There's a lot of destruction effects out in the format right now. Then there's Branded Lost. In my opinion, it's probably the craziest branded card in the game, because it stops your opponent from being able to interact with you. Once you've fusion summoned once, it's just a spiraling effect of, watch me play Solitaire for a minute. Branded in Red. I like Branded in Red. It is recyclable with Despia Tragedy. Typically, you won't need to have a whole lot of recursion, but one in red is enough. 1 copy of Branded Banishment. It's an insanely powerful card. I like it. I know a lot of branded lists, again, are cutting it. You could play Branded in white in the place, and I've contemplated it, but I find Branded Banishment is just super strong. 1 copy of Branded Retribution to round out the branded cards. This card is just another way to recur and keep your grind game alive, which is always really nice. Next up is the Bystials. We have Bystial Lubellion and Bystial Saronir in the main. You could play more Bystials if you wish, and you could absolutely sub out the next 6 cards to play more Bystials and slim your deck down some more. I have enough other board breakers and cards that allow me to play through interruptions that I think this is plenty. We are playing 3 copies of Ash. It's just generically like one of the best hand traps ever, so if not the We are playing 3 crossouts. That's why we play 3 Ashes. We want to have crossout targets. Being able to play through Ash is incredibly important. We are also playing 3 copies of Super Poly to continue trying to break boards. This card is less impactful realistically in current format, but this card's so good you have to play it, because especially for the mirror match, it's so good. 3 copies of Duality. I think this card's insane. The ability to summon a whole bunch of cards from the extra deck for free, getting free draws online is really good. But Duality is an insane card. I think this card is slept on by the branded community. I wanted to try it. I have fallen in love with all the silly shenanigans I can do because of this card, and I think you should really contemplate it in your list. But if you don't play it, it's perfectly fair. It's just a card I think it should see a little bit more play. It's really, really strong. We are also playing 3 copies of Fusion Deployment. Summons Blazing Cartesia or Fallen of Albaz. You can use it to summon Fallen of Albaz to fusion summon with your opponent's stuff. Really powerful a card. Gotta play it as a 3 of, because it gives you 5 Cartesia or 6 Fallen of Albaz, both of which really good. And then finally, rounding it out, Foolish Burial, Called by the Grave. That does it for the main deck. Moving to the extra deck, we are playing 1 copy of Albion the Sanctifier Dragon. This card I think is great. Now, if I was taking this to a bigger event, I probably would not play I would probably play this card. There's a couple of cards I wouldn't play. This card's really, really good. You could make the argument to cut this for Rinbroom. I don't think this is the right one. You also have a couple of ways that you could summon this for free using cards like Duality, which is really nice. And the fact that it can be used as fusion material in the mirror match is huge. And being able to recycle cards from the graveyard is also really strong. 2 copies of Albion, the Branded Dragon. It's the one that fusion summons by banishing, which is really good. And also, it's the one that sets spells and traps. So, if you don't know Branded, this is one of the most linear lines of play that you want to do in your opening hand, is get to an Albion so that you can tribute it for Lubellion, so that you're able to get your Branded Lost online, and you're able to get a Mirror Jade online for relative free. 1 copy of Lubellion. It's the one that, so this one, for those of you that don't know Branded, this one is the one that lets you shuffle in from your banished or graveyard, hand or field, to fusion summon. Discards for cost. And this card paired with Duality is actually crazy, because you're able to summon things that we'll get to in a little bit. We are also playing 2 copies of Mirror Jade, the Iceblade Dragon. This is the strongest individual monster in your extra deck with a non-targeting banish effect. And the fact that if your opponent sends it to the graveyard by card effect, you just get to nuke their field. Always really nice. I am still playing Masquerade. I think Masquerade is insane. You could make the argument to cut this card. You wouldn't be incorrect. But I find the card is too good to not play because it burns life points. And burning life points can be incredibly powerful in certain matchups. Especially against things like Runic that don't have a lot of ways to deal with something like Masquerade. Unless they have exactly 1 spell card, so you have to force them to search a certain spell card and waste time and energy burning life points to get there. 1 Quarites. If I was going to cut anything for Rinbroom, it's probably Masquerade, as much as it hurts me to say that. I think Masquerade is the most cuttable card in this extra deck so far. Quarites, though, is necessary for Dragonoil, which will let you summon Quarites for free, or another card that we haven't gotten to yet. But Dragonoil is incredibly mandatory. It actually can help you unbrick hands because of other cards that we're playing in the extra deck. So we were playing Mud Dragon and Garura as Super Poly targets. Also, inadvertently, this is a Duality target originally, but it does work as a Super Poly target against Dragon Link. That's Borreload Furious Dragon. So yes, these are Super Poly targets. Garura is dumpable off of Dragonoil, which is really nice and gives you a free draw. But Mud Dragon is important to the plays. Being able to protect your board also helps you crack boards, which is really nice. We are also playing Dragoon. This is a target for Duality for Dragonoil, which is crazy. It didn't come up today, but it does come up a lot. When you summon Dragoon on someone, when they're trying to do anything, or in the battle phase for Dragonoil, it's an insane play. We are playing 1 Guardian Chimera and 1 Despia Luluwa Lilith. Guardian Chimera is probably the least used card in my extra deck, but it's so powerful and it comes up so frequently. It just wasn't used today. But the Despia Luluwa Lilith is absolutely bonkers. I'll read the card verbatim because I don't want to misconstrue it. So once per turn, if a card or cards leaves the extra deck, except during the damage step, you can make all monsters you currently control gain 500 attack permanently. Then you can negate the effects of one face-up card on the field until the end of this turn. During the end phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it was sent there this turn, you can special summon one light spellcaster monster from your hand or deck whose attack equals its own defense. You can only use this effect of Despian Lulu Lilith once per turn. This card allows you to cheese out Blazing Cartesia or Guiding Quem from the deck during the end phase, and it gives you a free negate. And it's a soft once per turn on the leave the extra deck. That includes fusion summoning, so you can trigger it yourself. The side deck is one Jizakiro and one Radiant. The Kaiju's, gotta have them. We are also playing one Druvisworm and two Magda Hunt, because we want to have buy steals just in case for like a mirror match or for certain dark matchup decks, dark or light matchup decks. We are playing two Book of Moon. This is to deal with a Rise Heart. Gotta have a way to deal with it, and there's gotta be more than just Kaijus. We're playing 3 copies of Cosmic Cyclone. This is specifically to deal with Runic. We are playing 2 copies of Dimensional Barrier. This is both a target for crossout and incredibly powerful against a lot of different decks, including against Kashtira when they try to go to an Xyz play, you can just know. And lastly is 3 copies of Evenly Matched. It's just a big combat card, blows things out. All right, let me show you this insane play real quick before we wrap up this deck profile. So I hope you're ready. Let's dive right into it. So what you need for this play is a Branded Fusion. We need a discard, so we're gonna put Ash, and we need a Duality. Now, Branded Fusion, we play 3 Luber, which searches it, Branded Openings, that searches it, 3 copies of it directly, and 1 copy of Foolish Burial, which gets us there, so we have 10 copies of Branded Fusion in the deck. 25% roughly of our deck is Branded Fusion. So you just need to see Duality in your opening 5. In more instances than not, that's about the only thing you need. So, you start off with Branded Fusion, assuming it doesn't get stopped, which in this instance it would not because it's testing. We're going to dump the Bystial Lubellion, Fallen of Albaz, to make Albion the Branded Dragon. With Albion, we'll use its effect, we'll banish Fallen of Albaz, and in most instances, you're going to have another dark. I'm sorry, I lied to you. We're going to pick a dark that isn't going to help us. Let's go Saronir. We'll banish Saronir and Fallen of Albaz to make Lubellion the Searing Dragon. We'll go Searing Dragon effect, your discard, and you'll use Duality, tributing your Lubellion to summon Borreload Furious Dragon. You now have a Borreload Furious Dragon, so you have 1 interruption on the field. And you're going to shuffle in your Lubellion and your Fallen of Albaz to make Mirror Jade, the Iceblade Dragon. The only thing left to do, tribute Albion, summon Lubellion effect to activate your Branded Lost, and your Albion effect will now trigger, letting you set your Branded Banishment, giving you a live interruption during your opponent's turn for a fusion summon. And realistically, this hasn't cost you anything because you still have 1 card in hand, whatever that may be. Assuming you had a dark, which is craziness, and this is kind of the end board you would end up with, is a Branded Lost, 2 interruptions, and a face down that they know of, and 1 card in hand. Now, with things like Blazing Cartesia and other cards in the deck, you can end with much more insane boards, but being able to have the free pop, as you go pop Bystial Lubellion to pop a card, and then you Branded Banishment, you're able to fusion summon one of their cards again, taking your Branded Dragon, boom, you still have your banishment, and once you fusion summon, you get to add another interruption and Tri-Brigade Mercourier during your opponent's turn. So you have another card in hand, so 1 card in hand, a blank you don't know. And now you've added a Mercourier, realistically. You're able to fusion summon. The fusion summon would be typically just about anything, but like if you're playing against Dragon Link, for example, you can go into Garura or whatever. And in a lot of instances, you want to have like a Luber or something in Graveyard. But the amount of interruption you can put up just very quickly is really, really nice. And being able to fuse to your opponent's board, insanity. This is just my take on the listo. I found a lot of success with it. I hope you guys enjoy. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are nearing 1,000 subscribers, and I would like it if you were a part of the pre-1K crew. So, smash that like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. And until next time, lads, good fun. Have luck.
I've been signing on the city lights. All this doubt around me, damn it, look, I got it right. Don't you try to hit me, now you live a petty life. All those nights I laid awake, I pray for better life. Now I wake up with a baddie like I said I might. This a better